I'd like to give you some safety tips at your bench. As we discussed earlier, reloading is not a dangerous prospect, but it's something that you need to pay attention to. I've got a lot of product here on the bench, some various types of powder, different styles of bullet, just demonstrating what we've used in our video series. But if you've noticed earlier, when I'm reloading, I keep one set of dies and one type of powder on the bench at all times. What that does, it prevents me from confusing types of powder. It prevents me from getting things that could possibly be dangerous if I used a real slow burning powder in a pistol, or if I used a very fast burning powder in a big large magnum. Keeping one set of reloading dies, one set of bullets, and one set of one type of powder on the bench is an easy way to keep things nice and easily organized and prevent mistakes. You really want to do away with your cell phone and other distractions, because reloading is the kind of thing that requires your attention. You know, if the wife's hollering at you, or the kids are hollering to play, maybe it's not the right time to do some reloading. You need a good quiet spot in order to sit down and devote your full attention to it. Distractions can lead to deadly mistakes, actually, not just dangerous. The other thing I want to talk to you about is keeping good notes. Next section is going to be on load development, but once you've got that load developed, you want to keep a real good notebook or computer record and back it up in a couple of different places where you can maintain all your data and say, look, when I used the 3006 with 165 grain Nosler AccuBond, I like that load of 55 grains of 4451. And you're not scratching your head going, well, was that 4350? Or, you never want to try and remember your data. Write down a detailed load sheet, the date, the primer you used, the brand of case, how many times it's been fired, powder type, powder charge, bullet, seating depth, and velocity. That way all your favorite accurate loads are saved forever. How do you develop a load that is very accurate? What is the process? What we demonstrated here earlier is the most basic of situations where we put a pre-measured amount of powder in a gun or a cartridge and took it out to the range, and I know it works because I did the load development. Load development is the trial and error associated with reloading. When I have a particular rifle, and we'll use, for example, my 300 Winchester Magnum, I settled on a couple of different styles of bullets. 180 grain boat tail, a 220 grain round nose, and maybe 150 grain pointed bullet. I then chose 2 or 3 types of powders that the reloading manual indicated to me were appropriate for it. And I would start at the bottom and increase those charges by a grain to see where the accuracy was, all the while looking for pressure signs. But I kept very detailed notes about the accuracy. And sometimes the fastest load was the most accurate. Other times the slowest load was. Sometimes changing your load within that parameter defined by the reloading manual can radically change the accuracy. And I'll tell you a little anecdotal tale here. My 416 Remington Magnum is one of my favorite safari guns. And when I bought it, I cooked up a load using 400 grain Nosler partitions and IMR 4064. Looked at the data in the book, and I got a load of 77 grains even. I went out and tried it, and I got group size of about 1.75 inches, which my father looked at me and said, this is a Cape Buffalo whose heart is probably that big around. That is more than adequate accuracy. Being the picayune kind of person I am, I wasn't done. By simply changing the load from 77 to 78 grains, which did not go above max and did not give me pressure signs, I changed the group size from 3 shots from over 1.75 inches down to 0.9 of an inch repeatably. And you would think 1 grain, even at that volume, I mean, it's a very minuscule amount of powder change. It found the proper barrel harmonics. And that's what we're after as reloaders. It isn't any magic recipe. I mean, Hodgdon IMR Winchester has a great line of powders. But within that line of powders, there's many possibilities that could be the correct answer. It's going to be up to you to do some experimentation to find the recipe that works in your rifle. Quick tale, my dad and a buddy of his both bought 300 Remington Ultra Magnums. In a Savage rifle, they were 1 serial number apart, consecutive serial numbers. They asked me to do some load development. The guns didn't like the same load. One used a 180 grain Nosler bullet with a particular type of powder at a particular weight. The other one liked the same bullet with an entirely different powder and different powder charge. While the velocities were within 100 feet per second of each other, it was just kind of funny to demonstrate how those 2 serial numbered rifles had different barrel harmonics that different, you know what I mean, the radical change in it. And sometimes it takes switching powders and switching charges to find out where that recipe lies. But again, referring back to the note-keeping thing, that's why you keep these detailed notes, because you've gone through the painstaking work of developing your load for your gun, and you want to hang on to that data. Well, folks, I'd like to thank you for spending time with us at the Gun Digest Reloading video series. I hope by now your bench is set up properly and you're happily reloading ammunition. I'd like to tell you about a couple of resources that might help you continue to learn and keep you freshened up. Firstly, my own book, The Gun Digest Shooter's Guide to Reloading, will walk you through the same steps we covered in this video with some troubleshooting things in a print mode, so it's something that will be good to keep in your reloading library. Secondly, the Gun Digest Handbook of Reloading Basics has some fantastic stuff by my buddy Robin Sharpless over at Reading. Another one that needs to be in the library, and there's also a couple of sections on shotgun reloading by a gentleman named Rick Sapp if you're interested in reloading shot shells. As far as bullet choices go, I did Understanding Ballistics, which is a complete guide to bullet choice. You'll find it for most calibers, from rimfire up through the centerfires and even the big bore stuff. It includes the fantastic Nosler line of bullets and their proper applications, as well as many other bullets on the market today. And lastly, one that I feel everybody should have is Cartridges of the World. This is the 14th edition, edited by Todd Woodard, a buddy of mine. And it's got a complete cartridge history of most current and obsolete cartridges. Plenty of good feature articles and lots of great information. So they're all available for you at the Gun Digest store at www.gundigeststore.com. Until next time, I'm Phil Massaro.